the teachings at trying to give that understanding of that reality. What is real, what lasts, and what doesn't undergo change. That which is constant, which doesn't undergo change. So that reality is pointing out to us now. So this today we will look at a shloka which is actually a little bit very profound, and it is one of the most profound shlokas in Bhagavad Gita. In all of the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, this is one of the most profound teaching that he's going to give us, but it also requires us to understand from the perspective of the philosophical realm. So there are different philosophies that have expounded on this, and especially it started with Shankaracharya, gave a very extensive discussion on this mantra, which we will be studying today. And of course, other acharyas have also given explanation from the Dvaita perspective as well. So we'll have to see how much we can go through it. But the more we can understand this shloka, the more it will help us. It is said that in the Bhagavad Gita, there's a little bit story about how Vyasa, when he wanted to write the Bhagavad Gita, he asked Lord Ganesha to be the scribe, to be the one who writes, because he was reciting it, he wanted somebody else to write it. So it is said that Lord Ganesha agreed to write, but on that one condition that Vyasa will not stop, meaning like he will not take a break while reciting, while saying that thing. So Vyasa agrees to that condition, but he also gives a condition that, he said that when Lord Ganesha writes all the shlokas, he should understand each and write. He shouldn't just kind of write. So they say that some shlokas are given by Vyasa so that he could get a break, so that it will take time for Ganesha to process and absorb this. So it's just a little bit light-sided thing, because today's thing will be not that light to understand. Okay, so let us first read the shloka, and then we can first let us chant that shloka, and then we can go through the actual this one. So far what we have looked at is that the Lord tells Matra sparshastra kaunteya shitoshna sukha dukkadaha agama payino nityas tam stitikshasva bharata. That experiences, all experiences, particularly experiences such as heat, cold, they are all coming and going. And they also produce happiness and sorrow, which also are coming and going. They have a beginning and they have an end. So, tam stitikshasva bharata, do not grieve for them, Arjuna. Bharata is the name of Arjuna, and the name of India. That Bharata Vamsha, the Pandavas and all of them come from that lineage of Bharata. So he's called as he referred to here as Bharata. Yamhina vyatayanti ete purusham purushashaba samadukka sukham dhiram somrutatvaya kalpate. So here he points to this one thing which I mentioned is the essential teaching of Bhagavad Gita, that in all things, in everything in life, there has to be samatva, practice of samatva. So we might wonder, why is it that the Lord is actually wanting us to practice samatva? Why not always the spiritual path is supposed to give us a lot of happiness, that we come to this path because we want happiness. But the Lord here is saying, no, we're going to give you practice samatva. That is a greater teaching. Why is that? Anybody? Why is samatva an important quality more than just seeking, more than always seeking good things, happiness? Shouldn't we be focusing on seeking only good things? Why is equanimity a greater teaching that the Lord has chosen to give? Anybody? Any thoughts? Okay.
Because the mind will be quieter and we can contemplate better.
That is true. Contemplate better. But why would we want to not directly seek happiness? Why is he saying that equanimity? Yeah, you're right that it will help us to contemplate better, but we are all seeking, wanting good things, right? We want good experiences in life, positive experiences in life. But why is it actually not happiness as such? Why do we not want positive experience all the time? Everywhere we are actually seeking positive experience. Yeah. Why is he saying practice equanimity and don't just seek positive experiences?
It is a stepping stone for Chitta Shuddhi.
Correct. Yeah, that is true. That is true, but
Is
not exactly.
Because seeking experiences from the external gross world, coming away from it, and not having so much identifications with this happiness, sort of, that we're usually seeking from the world.
So, yeah, there is one point you have covered, that the gross experiences. See, the point here is that what he's saying about experiences, right? We have to connect with the previous shloka. What he's talking about previous experience, that when you are experiencing heat and cold. So there, sometimes that heat produces happiness. Sometimes that heat produces sadness, right? We discussed this. So the point here is that whether it is the happy experience or a sad experiences, it is ephemeral, meaning it is not constant. It is going to change. So what the Lord is actually saying by equanimity is that worldly experiences, that experiences we get from the world, which also creates a mental impression. Those experiences, they have that nature of coming and going. They are not permanent. So don't seek even a happy experience of life, because they will not stay. They will not stay forever. So then we are wanting happiness, right? Most of us want happiness. But now what he's actually saying is that happiness that has an experience, which comes and goes, is not what we are really going to make us happy. That true swabhava, that nature of ourselves, that reality of ourselves, which is not subject to even that passing ups and downs. That is the what we should really abide in. So the goal of spiritual life, when we say moksha, nirvana, kaivalya, and all that, what is it? It is the state. It is the state where the worldly happy and sad experiences, which is also mental. The mental happiness and sadness, that is not what we are actually really seeking as an ultimate thing. That natural state of our being is ananda. That our natural state is ananda. So then what happens, even if the mind is sometimes unhappy, that we, when we are tuned into that inner awareness, we will not get so much occupied with that temporary unhappiness of the mind. So that is the samatva in the mind. What is samatva in the mind is that abiding in just that nature of beingness. So initially, of course, here it is like a practice he's giving, like where we consciously not seek after just exciting experiences. So at a gross level, if you take it, if you're every day going to be eating lots of chocolate and all those kind of thing, what is going to happen? You will suffer at some point, right? So that is why, that neither should we seek that kind of a happy experience, nor should we push away the negative experience. So that point was mentioned. Okay, so now it will keep coming again and again. So we will go through that. Now let us just chant this shloka and then we'll expand this. So just one shloka, you can repeat after me. Na sato vidyate bhavo.
न सतो
सतो
विद्यते
विद्यते
भावो
भावो
Na bhavo vidyate satah.
न
न
भावो
भावो
विद्यते
विद्यते
सतः
सतः
Ubayorapi drashtontas.
उभयोरपि
उभयोरपि
दृष्टोऽन्तः
दृष्टोऽन्तः
Vayanorstattvadarshibihi.
वनयोस्तत्त्वदर्शिभिः
वनयोस्तत्त्वदर्शिभिः
So, can somebody read that in English?
The unreal has no existence, and the real never ceases to be. The reality of both has thus been perceived by the seers of truth.
Okay. So now let me see. I'm going to try to. Okay. So there are two things here. One is it is saying the reality versus non-reality. So what is the point here is that two words. If you can get familiar with the Sanskrit words, it is even better. The word sat. Sat stands for real, that which is true, that which is the ultimate truth. Bhava means that which exists, that which has existence. And asat, that which is unreal, doesn't have existence. So the way he has put it in the shloka is a little different. He says the real has no non-existence. That is double negative, which means that real has existence. Unreal has no existence. That which is unreal has no existence. So basically what he is saying is that that which is the real, that which is sat, that has existence, and this which is unreal has is non doesn't exist. So now we may say, why is this so convoluted? Why is he having to explain this in two things? Now here what is happening is that there are, when we say real and unreal, what is real, what is unreal, this is the search of all philosophies. Whether we take the philosophy of Indian darshanas, Nastika, Astika, Nastika, or any other philosophy, ultimately what they are searching for is what is real, what is unreal. This quest, everybody is almost, everyone is involved in this quest. What is real and what is unreal? Okay, now let us look at it from another perspective. That what he's saying is real does not have any non-existence. So when we say real, there are two perspectives. One is something which is not negated in time. Time meaning past, present, and future. So let me just stop this. So, okay, this everybody got this. Okay. So, one is a time factor. Trikala abhadita, we say, that in three times something which is not negated. So, for example, if I'm, if see, I see, if I see like a, let's say like a fire, some fire, if there is a fire that comes at this point, somewhere, and that fire comes for a while, and maybe you see it from far, and then the fire goes away. So that fire was there at one point, but it is not there later. So that means that fire doesn't have reality as such. Meaning it doesn't have reality as it is not permanent. It doesn't exist all the time. Now something in space, like you are driving in a vehicle, and you see something at in some place you see some beautiful mountain like Himalayan mountain. Then you come back to your home. Is that mountain still available for you? It is not available. So that which is not available in that in all times, at everywhere, sarvatra, and all the time. That is philosophically, we cannot take it as real. Why? Because it is coming and going. It is experienced at one point and it is not experienced at another time. So then what happens? What is unreal? What is the definition for real? So the real is the only thing that we know directly. Everything unreal needs some explanation. So now one of the explanation for asat, that which is unreal, is it is dependent on something. For example, I mentioned this example of the fire. So the fire is dependent on something to ignite it. Something has to come and the fire has to start. So it is dependent on something. And let us look at a lot of things in our life, from our personal experience. If I say that, I am strong, I am healthy, I have a lot of muscles and all that. So that means what? I have a certain kind of a physique. But let's say, for example, if I don't eat for a few days, if I'm fasting, so that all that muscles, that health and all that will start going out. So that is not always going to be there. So that kind of a situation, that kind of a particular kind of a constituent of the body is dependent on something. So when we go to a little deeper, the whole of body is dependent on something. What is the body dependent on? The body is dependent on all these elements. If you're not constantly getting water, if you're not constantly getting all these things, the body will not exist. So the body has such is dependent reality. It is not an independent reality. Then the other thing is that which is dependent, it has to have a cause for it, meaning it is an effect, karya karana. So that which is an effect, meaning it is created out of something. Where did our body come from? It came from our parents, right? So we say from that perspective, but from a deeper things, that body it comes from elements. In other, and also there is that prana, vayu, and the chaitanya, and all that is also the cause of that. But from a relative level, from our own scientific material level, we can say we came from our parents, So there was a cause, meaning our body is an effect of a cause. So then what happens? That effect cannot be real. The cause has to be real, if at all there is any reality. So now one more perspective here, we will look at some of the points that Shankaracharya brings up. Something has to be if something has to be real, if you take from a real experience of life, all those elements, the atoms, molecules, everything is changing. So for example, even if you look at it, if you take something like a pencil, when I see this pencil, what is actually happening is an image. The pencil is also in a constant flux. Or whatever thing, the matter or everything is changing every second. In Buddhism, there is this concept called kshanikavada, a momentary change. Every moment things are changing. So if you take from an atomic and then from the scientific thing, everything is changing. So if the point you saw this, what happens? There was a reflection, light that fell on your eye. So that object that you saw, an imprint of it comes to the eye. But in that thing, the time has lapsed and this object has already changed. So what you are seeing or what you are knowing is just a concept that you have of that. So it is not the real thing. So all of us, what we are saying each other, we say, okay, I see you and all that. So in that one moment you have changed and I only have an imprint of you. And that imprint of you is not the real thing because you have already changed physically also. So if from that perspective, that what is reality is, one is it's constantly undergoing change. Second is it is the reality is the ultimate cause, and we are only seeing the effect. And also we are only seeing that which is dependent. So by itself, it doesn't have a reality. So this is in a nutshell, what Shankaracharya also explains, but we can go through briefly his Bhashya. But mainly what is the point is that what is real, it has to be real at all times and everywhere. Sarvatra Sarvada, all times and everywhere. And one more point, I will say this and then we'll look at briefly the Bhashya. One more point that he brings up is that which is asat, that we see unreal, it is not unreal in the total sense. Meaning, if I were to say, like there is a famous thing, there is a woman who cannot. There is a lady, or let us take another example. There is a man who I say that there is a man who has horns, like how the bull have horns. So it's a common example given. What is that thing? That man is real, right? We all know a man exists. We also know that the horns exist. Horns exist in a bull. But a man with horns, we have not seen. So that when somebody tells us, we will say, no, that there is nothing like that. We will say it's completely unreal. So, but that is not the unreality we are talking about. So this is the word which we use in Vedanta is called mithya. There is two words, tuchya and mithya. Tuchya means it is completely negated. It is completely unreal. If somebody tells you some weird things, somebody tells you like, I saw horses flying in the air. Or if somebody tells you, like cats are barking, that is unreal. That is completely, you can negate it. But the problem here is it is not that kind of negation. And this is called as mithya. Mithya means that unreal appears to be real. So this world which we perceive, this world that I am experiencing, it seems to be real. But the moment you go to sleep, when you go to sleep and dreams, there is no world for you. There is no reality for you, only that world. So that unreality we are talking about here is not that kind of an ultimate unreality. It is unreal at the ultimate level, but at the relative level, meaning at the vyavaharik level, transactional level. I have a name, you are all there, and all of us, I'm teaching, you are listening. So this is the argument that Ramanujacharya had, right? He brings that why teach when everything is unreal? Why do anything at all? Let everybody be in ignorance, and the teacher is knowledge, and then let him be enlightened. Why are we going through all this if it is really mithya? So the concept is it is not completely unreal. It appears to us as real. So, in order for us to know that this reality which we have taken is unreal, the teaching is necessary. So this is the point. And now I will briefly go through the Bhashya so that just to give you all an idea. This is a long discussion, but I'll just introduce some of the key concepts that Shankaracharya has brought in this, and we can so this is again, I'm using the Bhashya from Gambhirananda. There are so many other Bhashyas, but generally we try to stick to that which is as close to original as possible. Ideally, we should study in Sanskrit, but because many of you won't follow that much, I'm using the English here. And in that also, the others like translations are good, but what happens with translation is it is still somebody has kind of processed that commentary, right, in a way that it is accessible. It is okay, but at the same time, the more we can stay closer to the actual commentary itself, the better. Then we can interpret. Okay, so the few points here is bringing. The unreal has no being. For this reason, it is not proper to bear cold heat without becoming sorrowful or deluded. So he's doing the connection to the previous mantra. We experience cold, heat, happiness, sorrow. But we should not take it seriously. Why we should not take it seriously? Because these are not realities. They are not the ultimate reality. So that is a point that he starts with. And because last time that explanation was given as a practice, here it is given as a knowledge. Why should we not become sorrow? Why should we not grieve if somebody dies? Or why should we not have, there is no justification for sorrow about losing anything in life? Because it doesn't have an ultimate reality. It is only relatively real, but not ultimately real. Okay, so that point he's bringing up. Now he gives here the point from has configurations are unreal since they are not perceived to be different from earth when tested by eyes, so also all changeful things are unreal. Meaning everything that changes as such is unreal. Anything which occurs, what we call the Shadvikara, I will explain in another class, but some of you already know this, the 6 modifications. Anything which goes through that, that is unreal. Now there is an argument to prove this point. These arguments come from different people, but he himself has presented it. The first argument is, if it be that such material causes as earth and their causes are unreal, since they are not perceived differently from their causes, in that case, may it not be urged that owing to non-existence of those causes, there will arise a contingency of everything becoming unreal. So what he's saying is, if you are saying that this material causes everything and all that is unreal, they're not perceived differently from that causes, meaning that that which we take as pot, this is the example he'll keep coming. Pot is created, or you can take a ceramic. Where does that come? It comes from clay, right? So he's saying, if you are saying that these things don't have substance, they don't have reality, even that clay should not have any reality. So this is where the argument is given. The Vedanta is saying, in all cases, there is an experience of two awareness. This is his point. Two awareness meaning two cognitions. What is it? Awareness of reality and awareness of unreality. And this he will explain, and I will go a bit further. What is that? So this examples he is giving. The pot is real. The cloth is real. The elephant is real. So in this, what is happening? Pot meaning a object. Is, that isness is there. We say this is there. Meaning here is adding the word is real just to add on to that. But when we say something is there, that isness has to be there. So that isness is the reality, ultimate reality. That pot is a different expressions. There can be pot, elephant, cloth, and all these things can come. But that if there is no isness, like for example, if there is on your floor, wherever you are seated, you have put a chair. So on that floor, that chair is there. You say that I will take away the chair. Now there is nothing here, you say. But is it really nothing? That floor is still there, right? And that floor has endless possibilities. On that floor, you can put pen, you can put yourself, you can put a bed, you can put anything else you can put. And all that you put on that assumes a reality, assumes an existence. But where did the source of that existence come? It came because that floor was there, that ground was there. If that ground was not there, none of those things could have been there or have on that. So similarly here, he says of these two awareness, the awareness of pot is inconstant. But the awareness of reality is not inconstant. That awareness of that ground itself is always going to be there. So then there are different arguments he puts just to prove that point. I will not go into detail, but I'll just summarize a little bit. So let's say the pot is destroyed. Like we are talking about this, right? The pot is destroyed. Will not also the awareness also get destroyed? This is the two words he uses: Sat Buddhi, Asat Buddhi. Sat is that cognition of reality or awareness of reality. Asat Buddhi is cognition of unreality, what we are called as unreal. So let us say that unreal is destroyed. That which we are taking as unreal, pot is destroyed. Will not also that Sat Buddhi, that awareness of reality, also get destroyed? No, he says, why? Because if the pot is destroyed, you will still know that there is a cloth, elephant, or whatever. There you are experiencing that Sat Buddhi, that reality. You are giving reality there. And then he gives another example that if I experience that pot, another objection, if I am experiencing one pot and that pot gets destroyed, when I see another pot, then again I have that awareness of a pot. So this pot which got destroyed, maybe it is that same which is awareness of that pot which is coming back again, which we call as, when somebody is dead. We say that what is real? That jiva is real. The jiva which was there in that body died, and that jiva came back in another body. So the jiva is real. This is what we say, right? So here, that is a concept he is bringing. See, all these are based on a lot of philosophical discussions from all traditions: yoga, Vedanta, Sankhya, and all that. So they are, Shankaracharya is processing all that. So he says, no, that ultimate reality which we are discussing is not that kind of a temporary reality. That which was in one pot, which is there in another pot, that is not that reality, ultimate reality. We are talking about that Atma. What is the nature of Atma? That Atma with that same thing, it can hear from this perspective, whether it's pot, cloth, elephant, or whatever, that isness will always be there. That this is real. When we say this is real, that isness is always there. And that this is where he say, we also say sometimes there is that Vishesha Buddhi and the Samanya Buddhi. That Vishesha Buddhi is that it says Vishesha meaning specialized, specific one. It will say this, and this is what he gives the word here, noun. He uses the word here. The objection is here. May it not be that even the awareness of reality is not present in relation to a pot that has been destroyed? So here it says no, because the noun is absent, meaning that Vishesha, that object which we are saying, this is pot, this is cloth, all that is that a noun is absent, but that awareness of reality corresponds to the adjective, meaning that which is qualifying here, which in this case we are saying this is real, whatever we are saying, right? So that adjective here, he is saying there is no possibility of its, when the noun is missing, there is no power of its being an adjective. So to what should it relate? Again, the awareness of reality does not cease with the absence of the object. So then the last point he brings is, may it not be said that when nouns like pot are absent, the awareness of existence has no noun to qualify. Therefore, it becomes impossible for it to exist in the same substratum. So earlier he had given an example of blue lotus. See, in that example of blue lotus, it is different. Why? Because that lotus is defined as blue. What is the substratum there? That lotus. That lotus has a blue color. So when that lotus dies, the blue color also goes. But here it is not that kind of substratum we are talking about. Here what we are talking about is that which is that that ground on which different things appears and goes, not something which is constantly together. So the Dvaita, they say, is like that. The Dvaita says like that, that God and humans are like the lotus and the flower, right? So they're different by attributes, but they exist in that one thing as such. So that kind of is not what Shankaracharya's argument is. So his argument is, he says in this, he gives example of mirage and water. What happens in a mirage when you go to a mirage? You see in the desert a mirage where you see water. So actually, if you think, we say that the water doesn't exist. But when we experience it, we say the water exists. So there has to be that desert there. There has to be that circumstance, that situation of the desert, which gives the possibility for that mirage to come. Whether you see water or trees or whatever in a desert. So here also what is happening is that although it is not an exact imagination we are talking about here, that which seems to appear, is what we are calling as unreal. But that existence as such, that existence is always there, like a river. Now, Ganga is flowing with a lot of water. Sometimes it's almost close to there being no water. But then there is still the riverbed is there. The riverbed makes the possibility for the river to come. But the river may not always be there in that same magnitude. So now the same thing. Why is he talking about all this? Because when we experience happiness and sorrow, or all in any sensations of life, body, heat, cold, and everything, they are not real, or are not ultimate. They are not real as in ultimate reality. They appear on that substratum of this worldly experience. But just as how we experience the mirage, another example given is that rope and snake. Everybody knows this. You are walking in a dark and you see that snake, but there is really no snake. You mistake that rope for a snake. So here that mistaken thing also, what appears to be, is based on what there is one reality there. The reality is a rope there. But what does it appear as? It appears as something else. So this is the true nature of the world according to this explanation. So then what happens? How do we distinguish this? Is that in our mind, there is a perception of Atma and Anatma. The Atma is what makes it possible for us to experience something else. But because the mind creates that duality, the mind creates that sense of there being a subject and an object, so that Atma perceives the Anatma. So, the Atma, on the Atma, the Anatma is superimposed. Meaning on that rope, that snake appears to come, but the reality is that rope. So ultimately is that all of our existence, in our existence, that which remains all the time. Like for example, we say that when we experience a dream, we wake up and say it was not real. Why? Because we take that waking world to be real. That dream world and sleep world, they don't have that kind of reality. So we take that ultimately what the waking state to be real. But from a real Vedantic concept, even that waking state is not ultimately real. That waking state is just like any other state that comes and goes. On that turiya, or on that consciousness, all the states are appearing, but that which exists in all this. So now the second line here in this mantra, if you look at the second line of this mantra, it said that Ubayorapi drashtontas tvayanor tattvadarshibhihi. There is a word called tattvadarshibhihi. Tattvadarshi here is translated as knowers of truth. So that word tat here, Shankaracharya says that it is a sarvanama, meaning it is a pronoun. Of course, in English it doesn't come, but when we say sarvanama, that means it is the one name for everything. Like we say he for everyone, all men. we say her for all women, right? She for all women. So, so what is happening that by one word we are saying many people, right? We potentially may. So here also he's saying similarly that pronoun tat denotes that one Brahman, that one consciousness. Tat is that pronoun which can be used with regard to all, and all is Brahman. That so who are the ones who are the knowers of truth? The knowers of truth, the real knowers of truth are those who can distinguish between this what is real and that what is unreal. So this is the main thing of this shloka, that Arjuna was in grief. Why was he in grief? Because he was taking that unreal to be real. So a knower, real knower, like Krishna is a real knower of truth. So what is he saying that real, as Shankaracharya says here, regarding the nature of real and unreal, that the real is verily real and the unreal is verily unreal. Ubayor of these, both self and non-self. The one who has realized these, those are the real seers. They are the real knowers of truth. That he concludes there by saying, therefore, you too, by adopting the vision of the men of realization, giving up sorrow and delusion, forbear the dualities of heat, cold, some of which are definite in nature and others are inconstant. Okay, so this mantra, of course, has a lot of points packed into this. But at a very fundamental level, what we can think about is that which we take to be real. The problem is not so much on what is real, unreal at the ultimate level, that what we are taking to be real, we have to question: is it really real? So that is the way to contemplate. A person, those of us who are studying shastras and all that, whatever happens in our life, practically, if we experience something, even if you break your leg or break your hand or something, right? So we will be unhappy, we will have disappointment, but ultimately the question should immediately come to us: is this really real? Meaning, is this going to be like a lifelong thing? Or let's say if you break your leg and it's going to be a lifelong problem, but at the same time, is it ultimately real? Meaning, it is kind of going to be constantly something in your kind of a worldly vision, like when you see something, when you hear something, many times you may not even remember that, oh, you have broken your hand or feet or something, right? Similarly, when somebody dies, for a few days, yeah, we will have that grief. Or when we lose somebody, somebody with whom you've been for many years, they may go somewhere. Then what happens? For some time, you may feel, oh, this person is not there, that person is not there. But at then some point in life, your life moves on, right? Even at a relative level, you will find a way. That sense of your search, your return to your true nature, that is the ultimate journey of life, right? Things will come and go, people will come and go. If we take those things as reality, then what happens? We are stuck, we are caught up in that web. Okay, let us see if there was any mananam for this. So the questions, am I brave enough to inquire into what is real and what is unreal in every situation in life? Is my perception of people and situations shaped by my past experiences, society's belief, cultural norms? Because all this, what does these do? These create a sense of reality to us. Based on our culture, we say this is real. You go to another culture, they say, no, that is not correct. This is not how things are. Am I willing to question my beliefs and limited logical reasonings? Am I willing to consider the truths extolled by sages and discover for myself the higher reality that brings ultimate freedom? Am I willing to commit my life to the quest of truth and reality? So this is the ultimate question we should ask ourselves. If we are not willing to commit to that quest of truth, what happens? We are satisfied only temporarily by untruth. And that kind of a temporary untruth will again bring us sorrow. So, unless and until, see, even by being just the mere fact that we commit ourselves to that search of ultimate truth, by itself will start freeing us from a lot of sorrows. So, just that, as I say, if you are on the right path, if you are on the path to that ultimate truth, that path itself is going to ensure that you will, a lot of your sorrows will fall away. Just being on the path is itself a surety that a lot of your sorrows falls away. So this is the benefit of the search for truth. This, the whole quest, the whole quest of all Indian philosophies are based on this quest for truth, that ultimate truth. And in order to get this ultimate truth, the tradition, the scriptures, the teachers, and all, have been there. And especially in Indian philosophies and all that, this quest for this ultimate truth is the greatest of all the quest, and the highest purushartha, we say, the highest pursuit of life. And this is where, the speciality of, if we can say anything, in Indian philosophies have ever been. And here, in many different ways, Shankaracharya has brought out that quest for that ultimate truth, right in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita teaching. He brings this point that you, Arjuna, whatever your situation in life, you should put your goal on finding that ultimate reality, that ultimate truth. Just by being on that quest, a lot of your sorrows will start falling away, and you will ultimately go and stabilize in that. Okay, any questions, comments people have? Yeah, I know this is probably one of the most philosophically coded kind of shloka. There's a lot of shlokas on this, and I have kept it a little bit simplified. Sometimes we have 3-4 classes just on this one shloka. So I have kept it simplified. And there is a lot of commentaries, sub-commentaries, and but at least we should get an understanding. Then we can come back. We can come back later and revise this, go deeper at some point. Any questions?
Swamiji, one
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
This thing, so whatever is, then in that case, whatever is passing is unreal. It is passing, everything is passing.
Yes.
So that means whatever is there in Chitta is unreal.
Yes.
So Chitta
Yes.
itself is unreal at the end. Chitta itself is unreal at the end.
Yes, Chitta also is unreal. Why is Chitta also unreal? Because that nature of Chitta is based on these ahankara. What are the 4 things Chitta is made of? Mostly ahankara, memories,
Manas, Buddhi, Ahankara.
Manas, Buddhi, Chitta, ahankara, we say.
Chitta, Ahankara.
So all these things are what they're all unreal. Chitta is mainly, we also sometimes say, is samskaras, the storage of samskaras from a yoga perspective. From a yogic perspective, the chitta is nothing but a complete samskaras. So those samskaras are constantly generating for you thoughts, impressions, those impulses, that habits. But that essence of that, see, even your thought, what we say that I don't know what is my next thought going to be, but that basis of that thought is the chitta. So that chitta is also what it is based on, this constant samskaras which is changing. And these samskaras, these memories, some memories are up in the front, some are deep down. But ultimately, once one gets that realization, they disown that chitta also. Manobuddhya hankara chittani naham. Shankaracharya says. Nacha vyoma. So all that, none of that is really ultimately us, because they are all transitory. They are all, as long as I am identified with this sukshma sharira, the chitta will be there. The moment that identification with the sukshma sharira also falls, that chitta also is not real then.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Swami, the last time you said that happiness and sadness, they don't change, huh? But they also are not Atma. How can we see this?
Yeah, I saw your note also on that. Yeah, the happiness and sadness don't change in their attributes, in their characters. But what happens is that happiness and sadness is, as I mentioned, it is how do you experience happiness and sadness? Like if you were, when we say happiness and sadness, what is it through which you are experiencing them?
The mind.
The mind, right? So this is the same point, she's asking. So as long as we are identified with the mind, that experiences of happiness and sadness will come. So the in by nature, the nature of happiness will be the same. Like it is not like, that when how cold and heat I mentioned. When there is cold weather, the heat is good. But that when there is hot weather, I don't want that heat. But happiness is not like that. I will always like happiness. I will always like, so that kind of nature, that mind's innate attraction to happiness will not change. And the mind's inherent kind of thing to push away that unhappiness, that will also not change. But here is that first thing what I mentioned. As long as we are caught up in this, that seeking of happiness and that sadness, then what happens? We are still going to experience the ups and downs of life. Because as such, the happiness will, or the nature of happiness is one other thing with relation to the mind, that nature of happiness will not change, but that mind's contact with happiness will always not be there. Mind will sometimes contact happiness, sometimes it will contact unhappiness. So a jnani also, a person who has realized, will also experience happiness and sadness, but he will not add on to that. See, when we experience unhappiness, what do? We say, oh, I'm unhappy, I'm depressed, Like, let's say, for example, I don't know whether you're a coffee or tea drinker, but sometimes when people are used to having coffee in the morning, some reason you don't have milk or your electricity is not working, you cannot have coffee. Then what happens? You're unhappy. I don't. First, there is the real experience that you don't have something, but the second is a mental add-on to that. So a person who is wise will not add on to that. That when I experience that unhappiness, I'm okay. That is the equanimity. Why am I okay? Because it is not the reality. It is not that Atma that is experiencing it. It is the mind that is experiencing it. I, as such, personally, am not experiencing happiness and sadness. This conviction has to come to us. It is just a mental experience I'm having. So, actually, what happens is, when you realize I'm experiencing sadness, and you realize that I, who is experiencing the sadness, is the observer of it, then there is a separation. That happiness can become observed. And then, when it is observed, it will not hold on to you. This is a means of naturally self-liberating yourself. The moment you observe something and you realize this is an experience that the mind is going through, then automatically there is a distance between you and that mind. Yeah, so everyone contemplate on this a little more. And of course, next class we can discuss a bit more, any other questions people have. So use the Mananam. So I would like all of you to look at the Mananam, and then we will discuss a few points related to that, more like in practical life. How do you apply this also? So that is why the Mananam is helpful. So use those Mananam questions and we can continue. We have 4-5 days, we can continue. Let us say closing prayer. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay, the next Saturday is actually Janma.